Hi, I'm Charles, and you're watching The State of the Republic. We begin this week with the continuing problem of gun violence in America. There was yet another mass shooting, this time at YouTube's headquarters in California this week. Separately, another potential mass shooter in New York was stopped because he was not able to obtain a firearm. Strange, it seems almost that mass shootings have something to do with guns. Who would have thunk of it? Yesterday, thousands of town halls were held all across America to call attention to the continuing problem of gun violence in America. Republicans, for the most part, have tried to duck the issue of guns, while the NRA continues to dig in its heels and behave stupidly. Conservatives have predictably continued to attack the Parkland kids online, as expected. Republican Congressman Ralph Norman actually pulled out a pistol during a town hall to make a point. Something that, it should be noted, is illegal in his state. Open carry is not legal in South Carolina. His main opponent is Democrat Archie Parnell, and I encourage you to support Mr. Parnell's campaign against that ignorant moron who tried to pull a gun during his meeting. We now turn to foreign affairs. Trump has been pushing for a U.S. withdrawal from Syria. This comes as the nation's civil war's worst fighting is beginning to wind down as ISIS is on the ropes, and the prospect of a Syria split multiple ways indefinitely is looking increasingly likely. However, today was marked by reports of another chemical attack in Syria, likely perpetrated by the Assad regime and its backers. In response, Trump called for military action against Assad, directly contradicting himself yet again. In Israel, Israeli security forces have engaged in a brutal crackdown against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, killing and wounding many, including at least one clearly marked journalist. This latest Israeli violence is part of a larger pattern of brutality and lawlessness from the current Israeli government under Bibi Netanyahu, who is himself under corruption indictment, ranging from illegal settlements to force Palestinians off their land, to the economic strangulation of the Gaza blockade, to the disproportionate retaliation that kills far too many Palestinians versus Israelis. Lives in danger. In trade news, the United States and China are now seemingly engaging in an escalating trade war, with each side slapping on more tariffs after the other. China's tariffs are primarily targeted at the red state industries like agriculture, with a clear eye towards killing off what remains of Donald Trump's support. Republicans on Capitol Hill are very worried that about the potential electoral blowback that will result as the economic outcomes for their voters continue to go down as the tariffs increase. And they are attempting to get Donald Trump to back off the trade war. Trump daughter Ivanka Trump's products have conveniently been left out of the tariff fight, though, and have obtained an exemption from Chinese tariffs. The incoming trade war has, combined with the growing financial instability and slowing job growth, points strongly towards the possibility of an economic recession. In related corruption news, EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt is facing a media firestorm for his pattern of unethical and probably illegal behavior. His problems are far too numerous to list here, so there will be another special report video that will be posted shortly after this, covering his pattern of shitty behavior. The Department of Homeland Security is also in the news for a variety of awful decisions. DHS has been compiling a database of journalists and other media figures, presumably to make a Nixon-style enemies list, in blatant violation of federal law and the Constitution. This comes in addition to Trump's attacks on Amazon because the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, also owns the Washington Post, which has been critical of the administration by reporting their incompetence and stupidity accurately. DHS is now also working under orders from Trump and the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen, to deploy National Guard troops to the border, a very expensive and meaningless sideshow, given the fact that the troops cannot conduct any law enforcement duties thanks to the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act. And the only thing that they can do when they see someone trying to cross the border is do what you or anyone else can do, i.e. call the Border Patrol. Most states have been smart enough not to give Trump any help with this god-awful idea, and the governors of California, Oregon, and Nevada have already told him no. But the governors of Texas and Arizona, Greg Abbott and Doug Ducey, have proven to once again be stupid enough to follow through on a really, really dumb idea. In other state-related news, teachers in Oklahoma and Kentucky are now on strike. Oklahoma teachers are protesting against a crippling lack of school funding and being the worst paid teachers in the entire country. School funding in Oklahoma has fallen 28% since the beginning of the Great Recession, and has not gone up in the years since the recovery began. And many school districts only have school 4 days a week because they, number one, don't have enough money for the 5th day of school, and number two, in order to give teachers an opportunity to work on the side so that they can make ends meet. Textbooks, for the most part, are vastly unavailable or cripplingly obsolete, and students have to take desks from class to class. Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin has predictably responded with the typical Republican tone deafness and soullessness, comparing teachers getting a decent living and getting proper supplies for their students and their schools to teenagers wanting a better car. And she also claimed that Antifa was somehow involved. In Kentucky, teachers are protesting changing future pension benefits from a traditional defined benefit plan to a 401k style plan that will depend on the vagaries of the stock market. The changes were packed into a bill that was previously supposed to address sewage treatment and passed with little debate or attention. Teachers are protesting in a show of solidarity, regardless of whether they are personally impacted by the pension changes, as older teachers are unaffected by these new proposals. These strikes come after the successful teacher strike in West Virginia that secured a 5% pay increase for teachers there. All across America, workers are finally rising up and demanding proper compensation and workers' rights, and it's about time they did so. It's time to reverse the greater trend of increasing inequality. Meanwhile, in election news, Democrats scored yet another major victory in a race seen as a bellwether for the 2018 midterms. The Liberal candidate for a special election to Wisconsin's officially nonpartisan Supreme Court won by a double-digit margin over the Koch and NRA-backed candidate, marking the first time since the 1990s that a liberal, non-incumbent candidate has won a Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Democrats nationwide are very engaged, with candidate fundraising and voter enthusiasm at all-time highs. Republicans are increasingly panicking, and appropriately so. We now turn once again to the Russia scandal. Alex von der Swan, a former lawyer for Trump aide Ricky Gates, became special counsel Mueller's first conviction so far, with his conviction on lying to federal investigators. Swan has reportedly been cooperating with Mueller's team, and will face little jail time and will be deported afterwards since he is a Dutch national. Court documents recently filed also revealed that Special Counsel Mueller has been seizing assets and obtaining phone records in the investigation, and has begun investigating mercenary war criminal Eric Prince's reported contacts with Russia on behalf of Trump after the election. The investigation is also looking into whether Russian oligarchs illegally contributed to Donald Trump's campaign and his inauguration fund. Mueller disclosed to Trump's attorneys that Trump is a subject of the ongoing Russia investigation, the level one below being a formal target, though that status would likely change for the worse if Mueller interviews Trump and Trump inevitably lies. The Trump administration has also been forced to sanction dozens of Russian oligarchs this week, including one who donated thousands to Trump's inaugural committee and attended Trump's inauguration. The administration has still effectively failed to enforce most of the Russia sanctions, though, including the ones passed on a bipartisan basis by the U.S. Congress. Trump campaign data firm Cambridge Analytica and its associated scandals are also coming under increasing scrutiny, with federal investigators looking into the matter, and UK investigators also looking into the matter. Facebook's role in this mess is also becoming increasingly bad, with recent revelations that an additional 37 million million people's data was given to Cambridge Analytica, bringing the total to at least 87 million. The whistleblower from Cambridge Analytica reportedly stated that this number could be even higher. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is now set to testify before both houses of Congress, and Facebook is working desperately to contain the PR damage from the scandal with little success. Finally, this week, there was a fire at Trump Tower, where one person unfortunately died. Trump failed to install sprinklers and other fire safety measures in the higher floors of his buildings, defying building safety codes in New York, and there are reports from people in the building at the time that indicate that there was no indications from the staff to evacuate, and overall it was a textbook example of Trump's incompetence and lack of concern for others. Who could have ever thought that electing this moron could have been a bad idea except everyone? Well, that does it for this week's news. Thank you for watching the program. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting content.